What a momentous day. We've never seen anything like it, have we?
Yeah, truly momentous. The security operation is extraordinary.
Yeah.
If you're coming from south of the river, all the bridges are closed. You have to walk. I discovered that earlier.
Oh, right, okay.
That's just a little tip for people. Get on the train if you are coming up. It's profoundly sad. The whole thing's been profoundly sad. And I worried with the passing of the Queen, would we see the passing of the values that she represented? Unashamedly Christian, duty, service, honour.
And you could argue, Nigel, that they're reinforced because they've been brought out into the open and people have witnessed and seen, and the country has seen, and all the naysayers and doubters have seen, there's an appetite for this monarchy.
Absolutely. That's why I say I'm profoundly sad and yet hugely encouraged by what I've seen over the course of the last few days. And very interesting. So many of our young people, we were told, well, they don't like the monarchy anymore. Well, goodness me, the response amongst huge numbers of young people has been remarkable. And also we're told that somehow the monarchy is divisive. The number of people I've met just this morning from ethnic minorities talking about their home country they came from originally, the Commonwealth, what she represented to them. So no, I'm actually very encouraged by what's happening.
Why do you think that is, Nigel? What was it that Her Majesty managed to encapsulate that captured multi-generational affection? And what lessons, I suppose, can be learned from that for King Charles, for the Prince of Wales going forward?
We've learned for the first time in our lives what a constitutional monarchy actually is. We didn't know because we'd taken it for granted because she'd been there the whole of the time. We're re-examining, we're rediscovering our history, our traditions, and we're realising actually having a head of state who is not either currently in politics or has never been in politics is a very, very good unifying thing, bringing people together from ages, classes, different political beliefs. So no, I think the magic of monarchy is actually back.
Well, that's absolutely key, isn't it? I think somebody did a survey of the crowds leading up to Westminster Hall. It was about 52% Conservative, which you might be surprised. You might have thought it would be a higher percentage, but as you say, they sort of spanned the political spectrum.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, had that lying in state gone on for a fortnight, millions would have passed. A lot of people just simply couldn't do it or couldn't afford the time. But again, and I walked down that line the other day talking to people. It was, very moving. People with their own personal stories. And isn't it funny? We also, we saw this with Diana's funeral too. We almost live our lives through them. Their successes, their tragedies remind us of similar things that have happened in our lives too.
She also knew, Nigel, and there may be a lesson in this for the rest of us, that by not giving an opinion, people couldn't hate her one way or the other because they didn't know what she thought. And this is what social media has done. Of course, it puts all of us, they gave an opinion, and you're either for that opinion or against that opinion, which leads to the country being quite divisive, or not. But she was above opinion.
Oh yeah, above politics in every way.
Yeah.
And that's the little bit of magic that works. And I think, we'll see how Charles gets on as king in Australia and elsewhere. But I just feel, and I've been rather critical in the past of him, I have to be honest, for some of his political campaigns. But I think he's off to a heck of a good start.
Yes.
I think there is a tide of goodwill behind him and the family. And when you think we have to grieve in our lives. But they've got to do it in public, including today, a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old. Goodness gracious me. When you think about it, we ask an awful lot of them.
Yeah, we do. In a goldfish bowl, always. But they always deliver, don't they? They always make us so proud.
What we want to see is they're hurting like we are. It means something to them. And if they, at that level, are human and they hurt, then they're like everyone else, aren't they?
Yes, they're human and they hurt. And yet, can you imagine at a time of grief, you've lost a parent or a grandparent being asked to march through the streets of London with an estimated global audience of 4 billion people? It's a heck of a thing.
Well, do you know, we talk about the children in all of this, but actually for me, I've worried the most about King Charles because it was in the immediate aftermath of his mother's shock death, because we understand that she was having dinner the night before and was in good spirits, that he was then off and doing this tour, symbolising his, commitment to the crown. But also I did worry about his own, chance to grieve, and I worry more about him than the children.
I'm going to remember that King's speech as long as I live. You could see the personal pain that he was in, and yet he did it. He delivered it. The words were amazing. I thought that was absolutely incredible. Again, you see, we thought the King's speech was a film. We're learning all these things.
Yeah, we are.
But it's been the longest apprenticeship in history, basically, and he proved straight away that he hadn't been wasting his time. He was ready for this, and he was going to show that he was he was the king. He is
Yeah.
the man. He is Charles III. He is the future.
God save the king.
God save the king.